I guess I'll just start. I mean, there's no way to. I found that there's no way to start a conversation with yourself here on the tubes without it being awkward. I mean, maybe there is. I'm just not good at it. But yeah, let's get into this. I guess I'll just pick up where I left off on my last video. Not my car update video, but I have made some more updates to my car. And I'd rather show those in a video rather than talk about them here. So I'll pick up where I left off on the, was it the How to Be Happy video? I feel like that's the last update video I made. I talked to one of my viewers here on WoW through Battle.net, and he was asking if I still follow a lot of the stuff I talked about in those videos. To an extent, I don't need the rituals so much anymore. Having, what's the word I'm looking for? Having routines throughout the day, it helps, but it's not necessary for me anymore. I don't know. I guess I was just so panicked from the initial couple panic attacks I had, because they were the first sober panic attacks. Panic attacks that were completely initiated by my own brain. They were the first ones of those that I had ever experienced in my life. I had panic attacks before, but it had been because of things or because I was on a substance, and you can just say, okay, this will just be over. But when you find out that, like, the trigger for those panic attacks can just you don't even need to have a trigger specifically. When you find out that it's just your own brain, that you can just think yourself into one, that's scary as fuck. So I needed a lot of the stuff that I talked about in those videos to pull me out of that hole, because I had just spent a month, maybe 2 months of just panic and trying to pull myself out of that hole. So I did the whole having a specific routine throughout the day for a while, but like I said, it's not necessary anymore. I still, I'm still avoiding caffeine. I don't do any caffeine, and that helps tremendously. I avoid all psychedelics of the tryptamine variety, things like mushrooms, DMT, just that hardcore mystical shit. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say it's not for me, because I know I'll do it again, but not anytime soon. I already know I talked about the mushrooms specifically, but I mean everything of the tryptamine variety. It's just fuck that. And I also don't think too far into the future, because that gets scary when you realize that. I guess it all comes down to the fact that it all comes down to your inevitable demise, and then the fear of not knowing what's after that, if anything at all. So I try to just, like I said, avoid caffeine, avoid most stimulants. I still take MDMA now and then, about once a month. Take it more than that, you risk overheating your brain and having seizures and shit. But no stimulants like caffeine, anything like that. And just think about the present. Think about as present as possible. It's almost impossible as a modern citizen, unless you're like a monk or some shit, to fully live in the moment. But that's what you want to aim for. But the closest I'm able to get is just doing today. I find that as long as I just stay thinking about today, I'm good. Now, you may like to hear that I'm off my medication. I weaned off of it slowly. I was able to stop everything cold turkey besides the Zyprexa, the stuff I was taking at night. I had to wean off of that. Instead of taking it every night, I started taking it every other night, and then I would take 2 of them every 3 nights or so, something like that. The doctor had me do it. And yeah, because you can risk, I think you risk comas or some shit like that with the Zyprexa. It's a good thing I wasn't on the SSRI that I was on for too long. Otherwise, it would have been really hard for me to get off of it. That's why I got off of it as soon as I realized the dangers of SSRIs. That was one of the first things I got off of. I was on the SSRI for about a month, luckily, before I stopped it. But the SSRI actually helped me more than anything, unfortunately, in regards to my mood not going into negative things. Not like, I mean, of course you're going to have negative moods, but I mean going into panic attack mode and starting to go down that spiral. While I was on the SSRIs, I almost never even got close to it. But so I stopped the SSRI. I stopped the SSRI, I think, before I even made that video or those videos. But getting off the propranolol, the stuff for my chest, that was scary because even though I was able to just quit that cold turkey and just stop taking it overnight, I was so used to taking it every 6 hours that every 4 to 6 hours that what it does is it controls your heart rate and it keeps it from going too fast and it keeps it at a minimum. I had to learn how to I had to retrain my heart not to just freak out all the time, because that's the beginning of my panic attacks, is when my heart rate starts to increase. Because when my heart rate starts to increase, that's when my breath gets short and things start to race, and it's just all downhill from there. So stopping the heart rate increase was one of the core things that was stopping the panic attacks. So I had a couple panic attacks coming off of the propranolol, and I had also the chest pain, but ultimately I learned to just calm the fuck down and not be a pussy about it. I still have chest pains sometimes in the morning. The morning is when I'm the most susceptible to panic attacks, because I don't know, I guess it's because I just came out of a dream state, but I smoke so much weed at night deliberately so that I don't remember much of my dreams. So I don't know. I mean, I still remember like slivers of them, and if it's a real vivid dream, of course I'll write it down. But I don't know, something about waking up in the morning, I'm so shaky and I'm so short of breath, just because my heart rate, like I wake up immediately and my heart rate starts to increase, so I have to get up immediately. I have a bowl ready to smoke, and I smoke that, and then I just go take a shower or do whatever and just try to take my mind off of whatever. And it's the quicker I do that, the better, because if the longer I go without escaping the heart rate increase, the worse the chest pain gets, and then the scarier it gets, and it stacks. So yeah, I'm off my medication besides the weed, but that's self-medication, that wasn't prescribed. What else? When I got off the Zyprexa, I went on an LSD streak, because LSD is my favorite drug, hands down. It's not a stimulant. It completely changes your perspective of things while it's during the time that you're on it. And if you take enough of it, it will change your perspective permanently. But I try to not. These days, I don't take that much of it. I just take enough for recreational use. But when I first got off the Zyprexa, because what the Zyprexa did was it blocked off whatever part of the brain allowed the LSD to take effect, or it preoccupied it, I guess, if I remember correctly off the forum I read. And so when I got off the Zyprexa, LSD was like new to me again. So I did like 2-3 weeks of taking LSD at first it was like every day, and then I was doing it every other day, and I did that for about 2-3 weeks, and that was weird. You can't do that. I mean, it's not unhealthy for you physically, because LSD is one of the most harmless molecules on the planet for the human body, but I mean, eventually your brain just gets weird. I mean, you still have the euphoric feeling of being on LSD, but, I mean, because what I like to do is I like to take about a hit to a hit and a half, and then if my monthly reset has happened, I'll take a little bit of Molly, a little bit of LSD, or MDMA, and then I'll while I'm waiting for that to kick in, I'll roll blunts. Well, I'll take the acid ahead of time because that takes longer to kick in as opposed to the Molly. So I'll take the LSD and then I'll wait like an hour, and then I'll pop the Molly, and then I'll pop the Molly. I'm sweating, and then I'll just spend the time rolling blunts. And right as things start to kick in, I'll just go in the living room and start playing Xbox. And I like to do this around 8 o'clock, and I'll that way I can open up the blinds and watch the sunset outside. It's nice. And I'll put the Joe Rogan podcast on, or Duncan Trussell's, or Joey Diaz, one of those three. They're great to listen to, especially while you're tripping. But what I found was that the LSD, if you take it so much like that, like I was doing, your brain starts to feel like mush. Like I said, you still feel the euphoric feeling of being on the LSD, but it doesn't. I mean, your brain just eventually starts to be like, stop it, please. It just feels gross. It's like soggy frosted flakes. It feels that's what I picture when I try to picture what it feels like to take LSD that often. So, I mean, I know that there's a lot of great people in the past that used to just sip LSD like throughout the day, but fuck that. So I did that for a little while, but now Lynn, my girlfriend, she does all the distributing, so I don't trip more than I should. But I still take LSD recreationally every week or so. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's something I enjoy doing. But I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything like that. I think I get to have my thing. Speaking of which, on psychedelic, while we're on the topic of psychedelics, Lynn decided recently that she wanted to try salvia. So we got her some like 30x salvia, and I got video of that. Yeah, it was crazy. She had like an out-of-body experience and stuff. I guess I'll put that in the next clip smash. But the clip smashes, I guess they happen so slowly now because even though I'm filming all the important things that happen, all the notable things that I'm around. Oh, 1 second. Lynn's out on an adventure at 12 a.m. going to the park. But she decided that she wanted to try salvia, so we got her some salvia, and I filmed it. And, I babysat her through it. I mean, it's just a quick trip. It doesn't last more than a couple minutes. But it was dark for her. She did not like it. She did not enjoy it very much. But yeah, I mean, she got through it. And, yeah, so like I said, I guess I'll... what was it? Yeah, I was talking about the clip smashes. They... Like I said, I'm just not around that much notable things anymore. My life is much more mundane. I'm just doing days at a time now, and my days are so predictable. Although a fire happened down the street just now, like a couple days ago, and they burnt down like the whole side of the block, dude. It was crazy. We went out to get some food that night, and there were just fire trucks and ambulances and cop cars rushing into our street. And we got in as close as we could that night to see what was going on, but we couldn't tell what was going on. But later that morning, when I was taking her to her grandma's because she had a dentist appointment, we looked at the block and it was crazy, and the whole fucking thing is burnt down. I'm not sure what happened. Homeboy Eric, who's a guy who lives down here, he came by and he was telling me that apparently there was some problem with the AC, and something sparked and things just caught fire at night when nobody was paying attention. So yeah, I'm gonna end this video and start the new one now because I hate getting caught in the middle of sentences. So yeah, so I'll be right back.